everybody, and welcome to the light side
of the paranormal.
If this is your first time here, I am Jenna.
And I'm Alice.
And why is this your first time here?
Yeah, like, come on.
Why have you not been following us this whole time?
Yeah.
Okay, so today for our video, we were going to chat about, Alice and I both have certain abilities, I guess you would say, when it comes to connecting with the spirit world. There are certain abilities that fall under the category of psychic abilities, and then you have mediumship on top of that, which is separate. I want to say for myself that I have a lot of these abilities which have just been things that happened to me that I didn't realize fell into categories of psychic abilities until maybe like the last 2 years, and until my gifts started to really open and I was forced to look deeper into what these mean so as to not feel like a crazy person.
Yeah, like what is going on?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's find some answers.
So I've found that a lot of things that I experience are things that other people don't experience. Because growing up, a lot of the things that happened, I thought were just normal things. And then, yeah, as they happen, I would bring them up to my husband and he would be like, that's not a regular thing. Other people don't experience that.
So like growing up and in adulthood, you were experiencing these things going, okay, like, is this normal?
Yeah, I had many a thing happen to me as a child, and then I think there was probably a time where I kind of shut that stuff out, and so it didn't happen as much. And now that I want it to happen, it can be like a muscle. The more you work it, the more you learn how to use it, the more energy you put in that one area of your life, the bigger it grows.
And believing it.
Yes.
Believing it.
That's intention, right?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Yeah. So then, now that I've totally taken over the front, the beginning half of this video, is it the same kind of for you, or?
I found that like I had less when I was a kid. Like I still had some, but then as I became more aware, I was like getting more different abilities, I guess. Like, yeah, like I've always been able to see things and hear things,
right,
but mostly just see. And then since then, it's kind of progressed as I've grown older and become more aware of it. Pretty much the same thing as you.
And I understand where people come from when like they don't believe it, like, or they can't believe it because it doesn't happen to them. I get that. I totally get that. But you have to remember to have an open mind. Just because it doesn't happen to you doesn't mean it's not real, right? There's so many things we don't know. So many things we don't know.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I make a point of not saying like, I am this, I am psychic, I am a medium, maybe one day I'll be confident enough to say that.
I don't feel like I can say that either.
Yeah, or like, I have clairvoyant ability. I can't label myself with clear labels because there are people out there that are very clairvoyant that I would never want them to.
And so much more experienced as well.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want them to be like, well, I'm very good at being clairvoyant or whatever, and all you experience is this.
Yeah.
Don't call yourself a clairvoyant. I just have abilities that I have. I know I have them. They help me. They are not common. Yeah, I guess are not as common. Yeah, if we were in a room of 5 people, I might be the only person that experiences these things. But
which some people call like insane.
Yeah.
Right? If they're not experiencing that, they're like, oh, you hear voices well, you know?
Yes, I've definitely learned to censor myself over the years.
Yeah.
You get kind of the feel of who you can talk to about these things and who you can't.
Totally.
And I guess now we're just not hiding it from anybody anymore.
Yeah, well, the nice thing is most of you that are going to be watching this video, you either have an interest in what we're talking about, you're experiencing things yourself and want to know more, or you're a skeptic, which like is totally fine. There's room for all people and all beliefs.
Yeah.
But we're gonna go ahead and assume that a great lot of you are believers in this stuff or are just at least curious or interested in it. So this is a safe space, I feel, to be talking about it. You know, less so than like Mary at the grocery store where you want to tell her that her husband that's passed away is standing with her. Like that's a little bit different. They may not respond as well.
Right.
But by clicking on this video, you know what you're getting yourself into. So yeah, I think that this is fine.
Yeah, so neither of us claim to be psychics or mediums, so please don't email us looking for readings or comment looking
maybe
for...
one day, but not right now.
Not right now, no. So what I've done is I have written down a couple of things that fall under the category of psychic abilities. And there are a few, and then we're just going to kind of talk about which ones we have and which ones we don't.
I would encourage, or we would encourage you guys to get a pen and a paper handy and maybe jot down notes as we're going through these. If you can relate to any of these, make a note of that. And then at the end of the video, please comment down below if you have any of these abilities or have experienced any of these things. It would be really cool to relate to each other.
Yeah. And I'm just going to quickly be going over each one because there are a few, but in the future we can make videos on each specific ability where, you know, signs that you might have this. So you might have certain symptoms if you were a good candidate for a certain psychic ability, but those symptoms might be different from actual messages from spirit that you are receiving in that ability's fashion, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and to kind of add to that, if you are experiencing these symptoms, that means that you could like focus your energy on honing those abilities and making them stronger and becoming a true clairvoyant.
Yes. And whatever. We'll get into it. It'll make sense once you know about it. Especially if you don't know what any of these clairs are that we're talking about. This might sound like a big jib jab garbage thing. Okay.
And if let's
get right into it.
Yeah.
There are many clairs. They're called clairs. They all start with the word clair. We're going to go through clairvoyance. I've written them down. So if you hear the paper turning, that is me reading. Because if I don't write this down, I'll say a lot more than I already do.
And we'll probably get off topic because we like to ramble.
So, clairvoyance, clairsentience, claircognizance, clairaudience. Those are the main four. There are other clairs like clairsent, clairtangency, clairempathy, and clairgustance. I feel like that one would be a little less popular. Clairvoyance is the first one. I feel like this might be the most common. I'm not too sure. Well, I think more people know what clairvoyance is compared to a different one of the clairs. Clairvoyance means clear vision. So clairvoyance is an ability where, a psychic ability where you might get visions. You might have prophetic dreams and you might see spirits or see other entities or things that are not necessarily in this dimension. So what I have first is most of the things that people see, I would say, don't come at me with like, that's not right. I am not a teacher. I don't know any of this crap. I'm just telling you what I've learned. So I think most of the things that clairvoyants see are not seeing, they are seeing. So you would see them through your mind's eye or through your third eye. They are visions, things that would happen that you would see in your head. But there are things that you see too. If you are clairvoyant, you might find it very easy to visualize things in your mind. Some people find it very hard to do that. If I was to tell you, close your eyes and visualize a red apple, can you sit there? Can you see it
I
very
totally see it.
clearly?
It's right here.
Yeah. Lots of people have a hard time bringing that into their mind and seeing that like it's very clear there. So
I think that like oftentimes people who have big imaginations or children who have wild imaginations, they're usually good candidates for clairvoyance because they're
Right.
able to visualize things in a very clear way.
Yeah. And I'm a big daydreamer.
Me too.
I'm a big daydreamer. With my eyes wide open, I can visualize many, many things. And I think that's all part of it. You might have a lot of really vivid, colorful dreams every night, very realistic dreams. That is a symptom of somebody who could be clairvoyant, not necessarily a clairvoyant message you are receiving. That would be separate. So because you are clairvoyant, you might receive prophetic dreams. So you might have a dream where you dream something happens, you see it happen in your dream, and then it happens the next day.
Yeah.
That would be
That's
the ability coming through. Right, so other things that people might experience if they are clairvoyant: seeing things out of the corner of your eyes, seeing beings, seeing lights, seeing flashes, seeing twinkles in the air, like when like dust sparkles, kind of.
Yeah, and most commonly when you turn your head to look and confirm that it's there,
they're
it
gone.
is not there.
They're always gone.
But you can
Maybe
still
not
see
always.
it.
They're not always gone.
Yeah, not
I should
always
have said
gone.
that.
But like oftentimes that is the case when you look and you go, oh, rats, it's not there when I'm looking at it, but it's always right here.
Yeah. And also people who can see auras. There are people who can feel auras. That kind of falls in a different category. But people who can see auras or see energies and stuff, that would be clairvoyant as well. So like I said, we'll go deeper into these in a different video. But so now, as for yourself, you have abilities that fall into that category.
I can definitely say that for as long as I can remember, I guess since 3 years old is the longest that I can remember, having clairvoyant symptoms and experiences. I very often will see things in the corner of my eye, like we were saying. Usually for me, it is like beings that are people-like. Like I will see people standing there, I will see people walking there, whether it's shadows or like fully colored entities, but they do look human to me. That is what I experience the most. And being able to like actually directly look at something and it is there.
Right, yeah.
But again,
so not always
usually
disappearing when you look at it.
Yeah, like I don't experience like seeing orbs or seeing lights necessarily, but I always see entities that appear human or human-like.
Right.
But I can, see them here and look right at them.
Okay. So for myself, I will get, sometimes it'll be so fast, sometimes it's a little bit slower than others, but it's almost like someone has taken a photo and put it in my eye in front of me. Literally, I lose vision for like such a split second.
Like a viewfinder, remember those?
Yeah. So really fast. And it's very hard to grab onto what I saw. Sometimes I can. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're trying to tell me. It's very abstract sometimes, but
it's so interesting to me.
I have seen orbs. I have seen like shines and shimmers out of the corner of my eyes. I have seen spirits, less often than you, like actually seeing them. I am way more likely to feel them. But I have seen them. I've seen them in my home. I've seen them out of the corner of my eyes. I've seen and heard them run away. That kind of thing. And I'll have dreams that come true. That happens a lot less often. I don't get a lot of my information. Well,
I think that you do that more than I do that with the dreaming.
Like, prophetic dreams. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Because recently, I would say over the last 6 months, I've had a handful of dreams that I've been pretty correct about.
Like most of my clairvoyant happenings are when I'm conscious.
Yeah.
Whereas yours are
mine are not.
unconscious.
Yeah. What I dream does not literally come true. I have to wake up and say, I dreamt this. How would that make sense in real life, in reality? So, for example, if I have a dream that somebody had a lot of water around them or something in the dream, I might say, are you experiencing a flood? Is there a flood? Is something, and then I'll be right. So I have to kind of bridge that gap.
Which seems like reaching, but when you're experiencing it, it really isn't that way. Right?
People expect psychics to be very bang on all the time. There is not a lot of room in skeptics' eyes for
interpretation.
Yeah, and it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that, but we can get that into that a whole other time. Okay, now, clairsentience. Clear sensing, yes. So clairsentience is, it can be feeling like feeling. There is that aspect of it.
Which if you've seen any of our previous videos, you know that Jenna does experience this.
People like to touch me. But also it's like a sensing inside. It's an internal sense feeling. If symptoms of like somebody who experiences clairsentience is being overwhelmed in crowds. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of energy, and you would feel that, and that might be a little bit too much to handle. Also, clairsentience is a big one I find, is walking into a room and being able to feel the energy mood. So walking into a room and being like, this is good energy, these people are happy, these people are relaxed, or walking into a room and being like, there was a fight that just happened, or this couple, good God. Man, can I ever feel when a couple has been fighting.
Yes, I can relate.
Other people can be totally oblivious to that, and that's something that I did not understand until I got older, where I might say to somebody, shit, like what was going on with them? And they might be like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, how could you not feel the anger that those two people have for each other, for example?
I can always sense how people are feeling all the time.
Yeah.
Which dealing with the public can be exhausting by the end of the day.
And that can fall into a whole other thing, which would be if you were an empath, if you were empathetic. If you don't know what that is, we will make a whole video on empaths. We are both empaths. It's a blessing and a curse. We will get into that another time. But clairsentience, you can walk into a room, you can kind of gauge the energy, what that might feel like. And I find if you are clairsentient, a lot of people will come to you for advice.
Yes.
And you are a hairstylist, so that's just doubling up. And I work at a tattoo shop, so also people come in with their issues. So you might have a lot of people coming up to you asking for advice, or you might be the confidant for a lot of people in your life. Okay, so yes, we'll get back to the actual physical feeling of clairsentience. So a lot of people who have clairsentience will get chills or goosebumps when they get something right, when they have a feeling that is confirmed or something along those lines. And then also being physically touched by a spirit or by a spirit guide or
an entity of sorts.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was my phone again.
They're so popular.
I'm gonna just turn this off.
Somebody who is clairsentient can also feel when a spirit is present. Maybe an angel, maybe a fairy, maybe a spirit, maybe something bad, I don't know, a demon, whatever. You can feel
being,
when they are around. You might get touched, like I said. Also, your mood might fluctuate depending on who you're with. You might be in a great mood and then you go to hang out with one of your friends and they're in an awful mood and they bring you down instantly, and all of a sudden you're grouchy, you're in a bad mood because you're mirroring their mood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, clairsentience, you can feel, this is like where like the gut feeling comes from. You get a feeling in your gut, a gut feeling. And also, clairsentience, also empaths, have a very good knack of knowing when people are lying, especially people they are really close to. So my kids get away with nothing. And same with my husband.
Those poor children.
Same with my husband. He gets away with nothing because I'm so close to them. I might be on and off, like hit or miss when it comes to knowing when other people are lying, but them for sure. So anything else that under like the category of clairsentience that you experience that we didn't talk about? Being touched, getting goosebumps.
I get these goosebumps.
Yeah.
When someone's
near
is present.
Right.
Or when like you tell me like a crazy story, like
yeah,
earlier.
that's classic. Everybody,
Yeah,
I think.
but I think that's just normal.
I will get goosebumps, when or like a tingling feeling when I'm right about something, or when I'm on the right track when I'm talking about something. But for me, when a spirit is around, and this is my best way of describing it, and tell me if you're the same way.
Sure.
I can feel the energy of a television. I can feel it. If I walked into a house, I could feel if there's a TV on, if I'm close enough to it. But that's my best way of describing when a spirit is around. So I could be sitting in a room alone. All of a sudden, I get like I do this when I feel it. It's like I hear it and feel it in the back of my neck. Almost like ASMR. It's like a tingling like ASMR almost. And I can, yeah, it's a feeling of something's energy is in my energy field. I feel it. I can feel it.
I can relate to that.
And
it kind
of goes hand in hand with the feeling of like being watched. You can feel you
that
are not
the
only one. Yeah, you can feel like you're not the only one aware of your situation. Something is watching you. Something is there. So I always do that with my neck, and that means something's there.
That's interesting. I've never had like a physical reaction like ever when I'm experiencing.
That's my feeling. Someone's here.
That's so creepy. I've never had like a physical reaction like that, but I can completely relate, not with the TV, but with the sense of someone is in my energy field. Yeah, absolutely. I know what you mean there.
Okay. For myself, I do get touched. Yeah, so I experience like a touch, and it feels like a hand. It feels like a hand on me.
I don't usually experience that. No. I think I can count on one hand in my whole life the amount of times I've experienced the touch.
Yeah. So yeah, so it can be an actual physical being touched.
Not my strongest ability, but one of your stronger abilities.
It is, yeah. On to the next.
Claircognizance.
So claircognizance is clear knowing. Okay. This is one of the clairs that is the most doubted, because clear knowing, claircognizance is just knowing something.
Right, so you can't really prove it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't prove a lot of the other things. But anyway, but it will just pop into your being like it has always been there, in my experience. So you just know information. You don't know how you know it. You don't know where it came from. Well, I mean, you know where it came from. But you just know it. So something will just suddenly pop into your brain like it's always been there, like a thought, but it is not a thought like you are hearing someone else's voice. It is your own voice, your own self-talk inside your head that comes up with this information that you didn't know you knew. Yeah, so do you experience claircognizance? Do you just know things and then you turn out to be right?
The only time I experience that, and let me know if you feel that this falls under that category, is like I feel like I had conversations with people where they told me something, but they don't remember having that conversation with me. And I'm like, well, I knew this and you told me.
And did it turn out to be true?
Yeah.
Yeah, then yeah.
So like,
if that conversation didn't actually happen.
No, like, or maybe the individual forgot, like who knows. But,
if you have, where you think, we must have had a conversation where you told me that, and that person's like, I've never told you this before, but you just know, you already knew what they were going to say.
Like especially things about themselves. Like maybe something that has happened to them that they didn't tell me about, I already know happened to them. And I can tell them like, hey, this happened to you. And they're like,
yes, same.
I just know that it happened.
Right. Yeah. I think that I might be wrong. Having that feeling, which I have all of the time, or not all the time, a lot of the time, where someone's about to tell you something and you already know what they're going to say.
Yes.
And so I have a problem with, not that I'm bored with having this conversation with the person,
but you know what they're going to say.
I already know what's going to come out of your mouth, so kind of like okay, I already know, move it along kind of thing. But that's so rude, and I do that to people sometimes. I don't say that, that's terrible. But where I'll be like, but I have to stop because I already know what they're going to say.
Yeah.
So get through that part and then we'll move on. That sounds terrible.
I'm bad for that in the sense that I'll finish their sentence for them. And they're like, yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I'll be like, yep, so this, and this. And then they feel rushed. And I know that that's rude. And after I'll be like, I'm sorry. I already knew what you were going to say. And often people will be like, okay. But
wow,
like literally I knew what you were going to say. Everything that came out of your mouth.
Yeah, the whole sentence.
But I'll do that to people and I'll be like, that's so rude. Like I really need to stop doing that. It's hard when you already know. It's already like it's happened. You already know the information and you know that when they open their mouth, you're going to hear it. So that's another one. I think that would fall under that. But that's also like maybe like a telepathy thing too. I don't know what category that falls under, but.
If you know,
yeah,
feel free to elaborate.
Clairaudience. I might have said that really low. Clairaudience. Clairaudience is clair hearing. So this is interesting. A lot of people think that clairaudience or hearing messages, hearing a message, sorry I did that, I didn't mean to. Hearing a message would be like somebody's voice literally outside your body going, the lotto numbers are this, and this. But it's not like that. Maybe sometimes you do hear spirit, like hear with your ears their voices, like you would hear an EVP or something, or you can hear them sometimes, or you hear your name being called or stuff like that. Hearing a message from spirit is a lot more like hearing it in your own.
Hearing it.
Yeah.
Like again, hearing it.
Everyone take a drink when I say hearing.
Oh my god.
No, don't do that. So you would hear it in your own voice inside your head. Sometimes you'll hear it in that if an actual spirit is coming and not a spirit guide, if they're trying to tell you something, you might hear it in their voice, but more likely you are to hear your own voice saying these things, and they could be messages from your spirit guides, from your higher self, from the divine, but you're going to hear them in your own voice, which is very hard to kind of hone in because it's hard to differentiate between, is that your own thought or is that a thought from somewhere else?
That's very interesting too. Like I cannot relate to that.
So it would be like, for example, it might be something out of nowhere that is like, you should check the oven, your cookies are burning, or something, you know what I mean? Like something you're not thinking of at the time, and then all of a sudden, you know, you've got that voice in your head, but it's yourself. So it is hard to, you know, is it yourself? Is it spirit? But that's something you kind of learn as you go along. Very often when it's things that don't have an agenda, you're not gaining something by
just sudden information.
Yeah, it's not something you've created in your mind where you've had to think about it. Like, I'm going to picture an apple. An apple is red. An apple is shiny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just there. Apple or something. You know what I mean? For example. Or you might hear sounds, voices, songs in your head. So I've heard mediums say, if it's somebody's birthday, all of a sudden they're walking past that person or they're having a session with that person and they hear the happy birthday song in their head and that spirit saying they have a birthday coming up or it's a birthday. Something like that, right?
Cool.
But also hearing sounds, voices, music, hearing stuff that's not really there. So apart from you, have you ever heard a spirit? Well, you said you heard your name being called.
Well, I've actually never heard my name being called.
Oh, okay.
But I'm really excited to talk about this one because I also feel like this is one that you're stronger with than I'm not.
Oh, okay.
But I will say that my experiences with clairaudience is mostly just if I'm having a very intense clairvoyant moment, it will usually come with audience as well.
Okay.
So I'll get into this like larger story in another video, but once I was like witnessing a small child that was a boy, and I heard a woman's voice say, "Michael."
Yeah.
You know, but to me it sounded like it was in this
in the actual
dimension,
room.
just in the other room, in
Right.
the next room. One time I was like trying to go to sleep and I heard someone say, "Wake up."
Yes.
Like they were right here. So I've experienced it less in like my inner voice and more in like real time in like,
right.
yeah, while I'm having a buoyant moment.
Yes. So for myself, yes, clairaudient is a big one for me. And only recently, I would say like the last 5 to 10 years, did I realize what it was, that it was not normal to go to sleep at night and hear people talking to you. I will go to sleep at night and I will hear talking. Sometimes it's like I'm in a room full of people talking and it keeps me awake.
Yeah, that would be hard to fall asleep.
Yeah, like as a kid too, going back to like our childhood experiences. I didn't get into it too much there, but every time I'd fall asleep, when you're easy, they want to scare you because, especially too, I've learned they want to scare you, the better at it that you get and the more light work that you do. They don't want you to do, the lower level beings don't want you to do that. I sound crazy.
Not everybody.
I sound crazy, but the lower level beings want to scare you into shutting your gifts off because you're starting to do good. But that's a whole other thing.
We'll get into that another time.
So I'll be falling asleep. I'll hear lots of things, lots of angry things. I'll hear things in other languages. I'll hear and see things at the same time. I've seen beings that are very scary.
Wow.
Yeah. And yeah, sometimes I'll see things that they'll whisper, lots of stuff. And often, I shouldn't say often, always, if I call in my spirit guides and say, I can't do this right now, you need to block them out, I've set the boundaries, it'll stop right away.
Cool.
And then I can fall asleep. But some of them like barely wait for me to fall asleep. Like I just put my head on my pillow and they'll be like, "Hey, you!" Yeah, you.
Actually,
like,
yeah, I experienced that last night.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I was sitting on the couch and I heard someone, as if they were sitting right beside me, go, "Hey!"
Oh yeah.
And then I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Hello? But then that was it. There was no actual message.
Yeah, but like, so I'll hear it in my head, but it will sound like it is another, it's not in my own voice, it is in other voices, and it will sound like it is right here, but I know it's in my head. I will be sleeping with my cats, my dog, someone will yell at me very loudly. I will jolt right awake and no one else has moved or heard it. I know it's in my head. So yes. Also, yeah, I've had my name being called maybe only once.
Ooh, I wouldn't like that. I don't think I would want them to know my name or call me by my name.
Yeah.
Even if it was good, like, I don't know, there's something about that. It's too connected.
I think it was
personal.
only like maybe once. I don't remember, unless it happened a long time ago. I have more than once heard someone call me mom and my kids aren't around. So what that means, I don't know. And I have heard it in one specific car that I owned. So whether something was attached to that car, I don't know, but there was a little voice that called me mom in that car maybe 3 times. There are other clairs. There is clairsent, which is clair smelling, where you would smell something that's not really there. Clairtangency, which is clair touch, which is psychometry, so being able to hold an item and receive information about that item's owner or things that item has been through. I have experienced that before.
I have not.
The next one would be clairgustance, which is clair tasting. They are clair tasting, you would taste something that's not really there. And clair empathy, which is empathy, same kind of, yeah, thing as empathy. So those ones are a lot less common. There's a lot less about those ones because they are less common.
Cool.
All right, well, and that's the clairs. So we'll do other videos more in depth on each clair. Like I said, symptoms, abilities that follow or that fall under the category of those certain clairs.
Yeah, like each an individual video.
Yeah.
So, did you get your pen and paper out? What did you write down? Can you relate to any of these?
Yeah.
Please comment down below what you've got on that paper of yours.
Yeah. So we decided now that we are going to end our videos with a little what happened to you this week. So we usually make time every Monday to film. Lots of little things happen to us on a daily basis. So we're going to use the end of our videos to talk about what happened to us. Paranormal or on the spiritual side of things.
Sorry,
Is that your stomach?
is so loud. I'm digesting.
No. So what happened to you? Yeah. So what happened to you this week?
Well, like I had said recently, I had that person say, "Hey," really loud when I was just sitting on the couch. So that was something that just happened. I was outside and I saw this like elderly woman like crossing the street in a walker, and like I just like felt kind of off about it, and I was watching her and then she just like turned and looked directly at me like this. What the heck? Like the creepiest smile, and then I was like, oh, and I just like walked away, and then shortly after I started walking, I looked back and she wasn't anywhere near there. Like, I don't know it. And she was like a slow moving like elderly person. It's not like she just motored on out of there.
She smiled at you quickly and then picked up her thing and booked it.
Yeah, just like folded it up. She's actually
like, scared or good.
Yeah, like low key, I want to be that old lady when I get older. But anyway, yeah. Good. So that was like super eerie and weird, but I mean, it could be nothing. So I was walking up my stairs towards the bathroom, and when you're at the top of the stairs, you can see, like if the bathroom door is open, which it was, you can see the mirror, which shows a reflection of the shower. And the light was off in the bathroom, but the light was on in the hallway outside of the bathroom. So I was standing at the top of the stairs, looking in the mirror just for a quick second, and I saw a woman like standing in the dark in my shower.
Nice.
But through the reflection.
Oh, right.
And then I like ran into the bathroom, turned on the light, looked in the shower, and there was nothing there. Then I turned off the light, there was still nothing there. But I know for a fact that when I was looking in the reflection, I could see her standing in the dark in my shower.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit freaky. But you know, it's kind of normal now. The last thing that happened, which was super weird, was I was laying in bed and like just kind of like starting to fall asleep, and then I noticed around my entire bed was just like shadow children all of a sudden, and they were like, I don't know, like their presence was so intense that it was almost like a bunch of people yelling, but I couldn't hear anything, but it was just like, whoa, like this is super overwhelming.
Yeah.
And then I just surrounded myself with gold light and went to sleep.
Yeah.
So it was totally okay, but those were some experiences I had this week.
Yeah, so I mean, you have, for people who don't know you, you have certain things that go on in your home that are probably housebound to your home, but she is quite the magnet for spiritual beings. They just find you. You seem to have some type of gateway around you that they can come through, or because you'll get multiple and different. It's not always the same. Like you have certain ones that are the same, but those are associated with your home, I think. And then you have all these other people who join you.
Yeah, like I experience these like clairvoyant episodes at least once a day, especially in my home. But sometimes when I'm at other people's homes or when I'm out. So yeah, I'll always have good stories like that for you guys. But they were just short sightings, so I felt like they didn't really require a whole video talking about them.
Yeah.
So that's why we have this.
Yeah, for myself, nothing too huge this week. Couple things like seeing things out of the corner of my eye, maybe only once or twice, some small childlike out of the corner of my eye yesterday. But I should say, like last week I had a certain something happened that kind of put me off for the week. So I was very off this week because, which I guess we should talk about too, like I was very sure about something, and I turned out to be wrong, which threw me for a total loop because I was very sure about this situation and I ended up being wrong, and it totally threw me off for the week, and it threw off my energy, and it was just a bad week. And now I'm finally like getting my footing again, but totally threw me for a loop because when you're used to being right often and then all of a sudden you're not, it kind of, and it was a big thing. So, but yeah,
Beautiful. Well,
Yeah.
I'm so glad that we're starting to do this and that we had this idea for you guys. This will give you something to look forward to at the end of each video. So not only do you get like the theme and like the content that we wanted you to have, but then you also get a little bit of bonus stuff at the end.
Yeah.
So
Little mini story times.
yeah.
Yeah, so if you like our content, if this kind of stuff is up your alley, please give us a like and a subscribe and turn on your notification bell so that you can see every time that we post new videos, which we are hoping for once a week. It's been good so far, so it's working out. So thanks again for joining us for our video number 4. It's been a lot of fun.
Yes.
And we will see you in the next one.
Don't forget to comment down below.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.